Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast, where we assess sticky situations to see who's right, who's wrong, and all the nuances that get your head spinning. Some of these stories will hit close to home, others might not, but every episode will offer takeaways, strategies, and insights you can use in your own life. So, let's dive in. Your best friend tells you she's been dating after years being off the market. You're happy for her until she says she's marrying Jeremy. You make her promise not to date and talk to him anymore. A few days later, Jeremy calls you drunk, saying you ruined his chances of getting married. But how did we get here? Jeremy is Natalie's husband's best friend. Jeremy doesn't work, he's an alcoholic, and generally not a good person. Not even a full month after his wife passed away from an illness, he started using dating apps and meeting new women. Jeremy is from another country and often visits the US because his wife was from here. Jeremy and his wife had a very toxic and unhealthy relationship. Natalie's close friend Gianna has had a very hard time dating and has had difficult experiences with past partners, so she avoided dating. So when Natalie was told she met a very charming man and that they were planning on getting married, she was super happy. Until she started describing the man, Natalie realized it was Jeremy. Natalie told Gianna all about Jeremy and how toxic he was with his deceased wife, his lack of a job, and his overconsumption of alcohol. Natalie asked her not to date him. Gianna was shocked at first and promised she would end things. A week later, Jeremy called Natalie to ask why Gianna wasn't responding to his messages. Natalie lied and said she didn't know. A few days after that, Jeremy called her again, drunk, and he was accusing her of ruining his chance of getting married and told her she would pay. Natalie's husband thinks she should apologize and fix things. Her husband thinks Jeremy might change and treat this relationship differently. Natalie doesn't believe that Jeremy has the ability to change. Natalie is afraid Jeremy will take Gianna to another country where she doesn't have a support system to isolate her. But did Natalie do the right thing, or did she overstep? The name of this episode is Promises and Consequences. My first reaction is that this is super messy, super complicated, and very nuanced. This is a group of friends all from the same country, so they really have a small dating pool. They are looking for someone who understands their culture, spirituality, and values, which is very important. But there are even more layers hiding under the surface, so let us break it down and see what's really going on here. Let's analyze Jeremy first. From what we know, he's an alcoholic, he's possibly toxic, he just dealt with a major loss, and from Natalie's point of view, he's just not a good person. From Natalie's perspective, his wife married him all for negative attributes. But that can't be right. There has to be some positive attributes that Jeremy has aside from all the negative ones that made his wife stay and for Gianna to be attracted to him to the point of accepting a marriage proposal. Natalie's husband believes that because of his wife's death and with the new relationship, that this relationship may be treated differently by Jeremy. But is that correct though? Because Gianna has had a hard time with relationships, Jeremy seems to be like a godsend. He seemed perfect to her. All was right in the world until Natalie stepped in and burst her rose-colored bubble. Natalie is genuinely afraid for her friend. She's operating out of fear. The fear of losing her friend, the fear her friend will be taken to another country where she will have no support system, and fearful that Jeremy will treat her like he treated his deceased wife. But what I can see from this story being told is that there are patterns being formed and are currently present in Jeremy's behavior. For one, he's alcoholic for sure. He even called Natalie while drunk to accuse her and to threaten her. The pattern of toxicity is very present, and so is the alcoholism. His first wife was from the US. She relocated to Jeremy's country for him, away from her support system and family. Jeremy chose not to stay in the US, and he chose to move her away. Because Gianna is from the same country and ethnic group, all signs lead to him moving her away from her support system after they get married. So that's a real concern. Gianna also has a pattern of dating men that aren't good for her. She still hasn't figured that out yet, which is why she decided to date and marry Jeremy. Which really makes me think what Natalie's saying is absolutely true. It's Gianna's job to look at herself and figure out why she's attracted to toxic partners that are not good for her, not Natalie. There are so many emotions riding in this situation. Jeremy's pissed because he may have found someone that he could marry after a devastating loss. Natalie is scared because she doesn't want to lose her best friend to, well, a loser, but also doesn't want her friend isolated in another country without support. Natalie's husband is upset because his wife is messing up the balance of his friendship. Gianna has finally found love after struggling with several relationships, but she trusts her friend enough to listen and values her opinions. So we have the emotions of fear, anger, and uncertainty. But what about the missing pieces? Let's see if we're missing any. We've only heard the negatives about Jeremy from Natalie, but what are his positive attributes? Because our narrator Natalie has a negative bias towards Jeremy, we don't get that part. I wonder what Natalie's husband would say about Jeremy or his wife. I wonder how their story of him would sound from their perspectives. We don't have that, so we can only analyze the information we have. Where is Natalie getting her information from? Is she seeing the drama between Jeremy and his wife firsthand, or is she getting secondhand information from her husband? It makes a big difference, doesn't it? If she's been witnessing Jerry's behavior towards his deceased wife while she was still alive, then she is both reliable and her opinion should be valued. Now, if her husband was telling her what's going on with Jeremy, then his negative stories about Jeremy have shaped her opinions of him and have created a huge bias. Is Jeremy a serial dater? Does he know how to be alone? Because he was on dating websites within a month of his wife's passing. It appears to me that he hasn't spent enough time to heal himself, address his issues, and begin to love himself before he can love someone else. Does Jeremy think his drinking is a problem, or does he think he's perfectly fine? Why does Natalie's husband not address Jeremy for calling his wife drunk and threatening her? Natalie doesn't mention if her husband addressed Jeremy about the aggressive drunken call, but if her husband hasn't addressed the issue, is this a pattern of Jeremy and Natalie's husband devaluing women? Why is his only concern that she apologize and make things right with Jeremy? Shouldn't his priority be his wife and the safety of Gianna? Why is it okay for Gianna to marry and live with a toxic alcoholic person? Jeremy and Natalie's husband don't seem to think that it's an issue. Does Jeremy have an alcohol problem, or does Natalie just think he does? It appears from the story that Jeremy's wife and Gianna are from the US. Each person is different, of course, but is it possible that Jeremy could change for Gianna? Why is Jeremy moving so freaking fast? Marriage within such a short time span is wild. How much time has passed since the dating apps, Jeremy and Gianna's courtship, and the marriage proposal? We really need this information. Why did Natalie lie to Jeremy initially about telling Gianna about him? Why didn't she just take accountability? Lots of questions and lots of things to think about. But let's get unstuck. Let's get into the verdict. My verdict is, did Natalie do the right thing? No, she didn't do the right thing. That wasn't helpful. That was just plain old meddling. Gianna needs to figure out within herself why she likes guys who are like or have similar traits to Jeremy. It's called free will. The lessons that Gianna needs to learn, she has to learn them herself. Natalie can't save her from every man and every bad choice. If she tries, that's absolutely wrong. Natalie should most definitely apologize to Jeremy for breaking up their relationship. It wasn't her place. Natalie's husband needs to have an intervention with his friend and take accountability as a friend and address his shortcomings and let him know his behavior is unacceptable. Jeremy has been getting away with his behavior because no one is telling him that his behavior is unacceptable. Not talking about it and not addressing him about them is contributing to the problem. But Jeremy must also help himself and want to help himself. This is a sticky situation and has lots of layers and complications. But when it comes down to it, Natalie was dead wrong for what she did. A promise to stop talking to someone is a step too far. A warning is fine, and then it's up to Gianna to make the final decision. If you've been in a sticky situation like this, I'd love to hear what you would do. Let me know in the comments below. If you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening to the Unstuck Podcast. If you've been dealing with your own sticky situation and need help untangling it, you can find me at Anchored Insight on X or at my Etsy shop, Insight Advisor. Until next time, remember, decisions don't get judged here, and we don't make pressure decisions, only decisions that are right for you.